Everybody, welcome to another ASEA Global Expansion Team Zoom. We are so fortunate tonight to have our founder, the ASEA founder, Tyler Norton, joining us. We're going to talk tonight about how to make 2021 your best year yet. So Tyler, we've just come through a sobering year, to say the least. But we've learned a lot, and actually it's been a blessing in many ways. As awful as that might sound, it's really, it's given us time to reflect on what's important. It's given us a chance to be creative and pivot in a lot of ways, use our imagination about, possibilities and different ways of working. And we couldn't be more grateful about working with ASEA, with this incredible technology, with this incredible business from home, when there's so many people looking for exactly what we have. And so, with all due respect, we're out there in the world, offering people, to take a look at what we have. And so we'd love to have you take some time and just shed some light on some things that you do to ensure that 2021 is going to be not only your best year yet, but the company's best year going forward, following the track record that we've been setting from the years past.
Yeah, it's funny. I kind of am emotional listening to you talk. You hit a chord with me thinking about, I think the first thing I would tell you that I've been feeling is humility. And here's why. When we make plans as if nothing's going to get in the way of our plans, and then life deals us a hand that's different. If you're a person of faith, you can say, God throws you a curveball. If you're not a person of faith and just the stars aren't in alignment, whatever you want to call it. I think I approached my goal setting with greater humility this year than I ever have, because I realized that it's a gift. Every day is a gift. Every moment that we have a country like we have and where we work and this company, it's all a gift. It should never be taken for granted. It should never be something that we presume is going to be given to us. And so I think my sense of almost existentialism about today and the humility about tomorrow, meaning if in fact I have a tomorrow, if in fact I can ship a product somewhere tomorrow, our company went through a lot. And so I think, this is speaking personally for me, there is a measure of humility that was associated this year with my goal planning, because think back to a year ago this week, we had a robust year planned, a 10-year anniversary. We were getting ready to gear up for an extended road tour. We were fortunate, Danny, as you know, to make it down to Australia, but that was the last trip I had. The tail end of February, and I had been in Mexico. I flew directly from Mexico City to Australia. I find myself thinking a lot about the fact that, I couldn't have imagined what would happen. And so how has that informed my approach to this year? I would say the first thing would be humility. I've kind of approached planning from the perspective of that notion of the grace of being able to do my plan. And I should tell you guys that I read a USA Today article in the newspaper on my phone on the app that said that 70%, I think it was 68% of Americans have had a significant financial setback in 2020. And I don't know how you interpret that, but I just sat there and I had to reread that a couple of times. And I thought 7 out of 10 people you see at a mall, 7 out of 10 people you drive by on the street, 7 out of 10 people in an airplane, 70% of the people in this country alone have been dealt a significant financial setback in the year of 2020. And so how should that be part of your thinking? Well, number one, clearly it points to gratitude that we work in an industry and a business that was able to continue to develop. I'll tell you that we just had calls. I've been on calls all day today. And we've finished the year up significantly over prior year, not as much as we had hoped, I'll be honest, but we did not drop, which was a big deal to me as I was looking at numbers in May and April, and we were really assessing the year. Our goal was to not see a decline in the revenue of this company, and we actually increased over prior year. quite notably, which for us, what does that mean? It means in the grand scheme of things, we will maintain our position or improve it in the top 50 companies in the world in network marketing. And as you know, last year we broke into the top 50, and that's something we take very seriously. So you have these really interesting kind of things going on in your heart and mind. You have on the one side, 70% of the people, at least in the US, were dealt a significant financial setback, to say nothing of those dealt the blow of their health or losing a loved one. And then you look at us in this industry, and particularly here at ASEA, and we had a growing year. We had a profitable year. We broke several records in this last year. I think that speaks to the relevance of our product set and the relevance of our opportunity. But it is something that's very humbling to me to think about. So as I've been processing, what do I really want 21 to look like? You know, I think I'm approaching it with a certain amount of humility, and then this increased determination, maybe stronger than I've ever felt, to maximize, to take full potential of a day, of the 24 hours I've been blessed with and given, to take full potential take full advantage of what ASEA represents worldwide. Our plan is aggressive this year, and we're really excited about it. I think anyone on this call, or anyone that might listen to this recording after this call, I'm going to share something I haven't shared with anybody. This is going to seem really weird to you guys, but I've never shared this. In fact, I've not shared some of these things even openly with my wife, but I'm going to share it with you guys. I'm not going to show you a ton of this, but this is a goal sheet from last year. And I want you just to be able to see, I scratch this out inside an app on my iPad. And when I have an impression or a thought, I go into this app and I write it down. And as you can see on this version, I've gone through and given myself color scores. I've had green things on here. One of them, for example, was 200 million at ASEA. It was a big one right here. Well, we finished just under 180, and that was because of COVID. Now, last year, because of the accounting rules, every fifth year we have, believe it or not, a 53-week year. So 2019, we finished at 171 million, but that was a 53-week year. So I take 3 million off to normalize it. We finished roughly at 168, and we'll finish at 179 roughly this year. So we grew over $10 million in revenue off of a baseline of 170. But you know, when I wrote this early in the year, you can see I've got my calendar over here. I've got my whole year on a single page, and I won't read all these things to you, but it has things about my wife. It has things about serving my family. It has things on here about my faith. It has things on here about economics, and lots of stuff on here about ASEA. I do this every year, and I don't like to share it. That's why I'm holding it out here, because there's some very personal things on there. But what I want you to know, and I can show this. I had an update this one. This was from a few months ago, but I was cleaning my office today and found it. And the green things are things I was feeling really good about, and things that I felt like when I was checking in on these goals that I was making progress on. And I'll admit to you, a lot of those were enabled by the slowdown of travel and the slowdown of COVID. But the one thing that really happened to me as it relates to this plan this year, for me personally, my own goals, was this concept of how much time did I spend thinking and processing and capturing those thoughts. It was a lot of hours. And frankly, I'll admit to you, it was not all done by January 1st. As much as I like to think that I'm going to get all my goals drafted perfectly, I have a single page drafted right now with about 10 of my really high level objectives that I've already drafted. But if you're going to have the best year ever, I would submit to you, it's going to start here. And it's going to start here. You're going to have to spend some quiet time and really process both the lessons learned and the humility from 2020. And then this ridiculously powerful, almost geyser-like feeling of eruption that says, I'm going to take advantage of every waking minute, and I'm going to make the full use of the time and the energy and the health that I have to move forward. And I think one of the takeaways from this little exercise for me has been how much mental energy and time I spend trying to capture the vision I have for a year. And there's names on here. There's names of people that I wanted to reach out to and serve. There's people inside the company that I wanted to help grow and develop. I mean, it's really processing and thinking about it in a parallel world, in your worlds. Who are the team members that you know have full potential, that you know on your team should be diamond or triple diamond or grow even beyond that, and you know it? Well, if you're going to invest in your own growth, it's only going to be a function of your investment in others. And if we sit here and write goals that don't have anyone else's name on here, then it's never going to work. But there are names of people I work with here. There's certainly my family's names and very specific things I want to do to lift them. And so as I think about 2021, I think what a reset 2020 has been for me personally on so many levels. And now I feel this almost volcanic sense of eruption in me that says, every day matters. I'm going to breathe through my nose and out my mouth every day. I'm going to be sitting on that beach behind Danny every day in my head saying, today is a gift. It cannot be squandered. It cannot be wasted. So do I spend the time documenting and articulating my vision and goals for this year very much outside of myself? These shouldn't just be things about you that you want. You will not get what you want in this life until you understand that the game is others. You won't grow a team by focusing on yourself. You won't grow your income in network marketing. That's why I love this business. I have grown to love this business. Anyone who dares to cross swords with me and tell me this isn't the greatest business in the world is going to be severely injured by me. I mean it. I feel such strength inside of me saying this is the greatest opportunity in the world. And we are the greatest company inside that opportunity with the most unique story. No one can touch our story. No one can touch what we have and offer to the world. So as my old boss used to say, maybe it boils down to a vitamin D deficiency where vitamin D is discipline. Maybe it looks me in the mirror and says, how serious am I about reaching my full potential by disavowing my self-interest and creating all my attention and energy on the success of those I care about and I'm invested in? And we all know what happens when you turn your attention outward and you find someone who may not believe in themselves as much as you believe in them, right? That's the person I want to work with because I want to imbue in them a sense of potential and what they can do. I'm not terribly interested in working with people who don't know what they want. I have to work with someone who can articulate to me like this, what they want. I want them to pull this out and say, right there, this is what I want, and this is what I want. And yeah, that can be self-motivated and even self-interested. But I'm going to teach them that to get what you want has to mean turning your attention off of yourself and focusing on building a team and building others. And I think we lose sight of that. And when I find people grumpy or complaining or criticizing any number of fair things, I find that they're maybe getting a little bit too inward focused and they should pivot their attention out, both in new recruiting as well as in going out and saying, what can I do to help this member on my team reach their full potential? The joy of ASEA and the joy of life becomes that lifting of others around us, which we all know is so naturally then lifts us appropriately. I have the unique thing of sitting on the stage at our annual award banquets, and I'm not looking at the person receiving the award. I'm looking at the faces of the people on their teams that have been part of this groundswell of support that have then given them an opportunity to stand on a stage. It's a remarkable point of view for me to see that, Cindy. It's like I'm watching you and Bo on a stage, but I'm seeing the most natural sense of love and excitement and allegiance. That's this sense of teaming and allegiance and the clapping and the support. That's what we need to remember in a year when we couldn't gather. Is you never make it to a stage. You will never make it to a stage in this industry until your all-consuming occupation is someone else making the stage, is someone else reaching their full potential. So on this page, in your world, I would highly recommend you writing down specific names of people that you don't have to tell them. You don't have to turn this into some sort of show and tell. This is deep in your heart. You do need to punctuate it with where you spend your time and your priorities. And you do need to get out there and work with people. But boy, I'll tell you, if somebody's willing to publish to me that what they want to accomplish in 2021, and they're on my team, and they've taken the time to really think about it and to process it, and they can communicate intelligently with me what it's going to take and what their commitments are and what they're willing to give, boy, I'm going to meet that and +1 on that. I'm going to meet them +1. And I'm going to say, I'll help you get there. I love to work with people who may not believe enough in themselves as I see them, but who are willing to give everything to trying. And those are the people that you want to go to the moon with. So what do I think would make the 2021 the best year ever? Maximize humility about the fact that every day we have is a gift. Let's not start each day deciding what we don't have or what's not right. Let's realize the incredible gifts that we are blessed with every day. And secondly, let's mentally visualize, document, articulate on paper, and create a living, breathing vision document for the year and turn that vision document to the success of other people. And when we do that, and by the way, would I love to be somebody on Danny Doyle's paper? Would I love to know that Danny was interested in my success in 2021? I'll tell you what, man, I'd be waving my hands saying, I want to be on that team. And what if my commitment was to not let you down, Danny? What if we start thinking about each other in that way? So I think you want to write goals that, yes, can speak to achievements. They can speak to levels you want to reach. But I would submit to you that until your goals include the success of others around you, you will not reach the objectives you want to reach. The becoming is a function of the belonging. And if we don't belong to each other, then the becoming is way slower, right? And you can see that people that are alone, people that are not part of a belonging tend to not grow as quickly. There's power in us seeing each other's potential and then taking a vested personal interest in seeing you reach that potential, which then, of course, if done properly, uplifts me. And so I would challenge you to write goals and objectives that if your goal is to be triple diamond, or for that matter, bronze, or whatever it is in the company, look at that goal through the lens of others and say, how many other people will I have to help succeed in the executive ranks that would support this reach? And turn your heart and soul to those people's success. And you should not give your time and energy to someone who does not give it back to you in equal measure. I don't think you should. And I think you need to have a meaningful covenant between each other that says, I'm going to give my best effort if you're willing to meet me there. And that needs to be mutual. It shouldn't be imbalanced. And you do have the right to call time out if you don't feel like someone else's effort level is meeting yours. You know, you've heard me say, and I'm not the first to say that, I can believe in you more than you believe in yourself, but I cannot want something for you more than you want it for yourself. And so if I don't sense that desire is inside of a person, well, I'm going to call it out really early, because the Bo's and the Cindy's of the world, the Kayleen's, the teams of the world that are really moving forward, they don't have time to sit there and try to help someone figure out what their eye color is or what they want to be. They've got to come to the table with a desire. And if that desire is there and they're punctuating that desire with daily activity and commitment, I'm going to meet them there and I'm going to run with them. And those are my favorite years, the years when I worked my guts out to help someone else reach an objective or a goal that then, of course, had a reverse and symbiotic relationship to my success. That's the beauty of network marketing. And we forget the great secret is, if you want to be a triple diamond, then go find the number of legs and the number of leaders it's going to take and turn your full attention to their success, fully expecting for reciprocal effort, right? The norm of reciprocity says, I love you too, right? That's a norm. And I've got to have that. And I've got to feel like that level of commitment is there. But when it's there, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like running for that together. If you're not sure of that commitment, if you don't want to give that commitment, if your husband or your wife is withholding support of that commitment, or the people closest to you are making fun of your commitment, you're going to have to go to a place that declares your independence from the weather and from anyone else's voice. You got to get to that place where you are so fiercely committed to what it is you're going to do that you're not on trial and you're not interested in anyone else's editorial comments about it. And when you get to that place and you disavow what someone else might think of your vision and put yourself in a position where you're truly running for something you believe in with people who believe in you, it's like accelerated human growth. It's the most joyful time. But if we get stuck and if we get overly centric on ourselves and what's not working well, and we start to use criticism as our tool, you can see it happens to me. And then when I say stop, recommit myself to a clear set of outcomes that I can see them, and do it with people that want the same outcomes in their life, and it becomes joyful again. I'm going to pause for a minute, Cindy, because I could go all night. Like, I am fearless about this stuff, but maybe there's some other thoughts or questions you want to provoke in the conversation. So let me pause there. Hope that's helpful.
Just a couple of thoughts. One was that we were with Eric Worre on his recruiting challenge and virtual GoPro recently. And one of the guest speakers that he had on was a guy named Grant Cardone. You might be familiar with him. But anyway,
I've heard the name, but I don't want to act like I know much more than the name. Yeah.
Well, this guy, teaches people how to make money. Basically, he's not in the network marketing space, but he teaches people how to make money. And what they did, and this will be aired on January 6th, whenever that is, coming up in a couple days. But it's the television show is called The Undercover Billionaire. And what they did was they took him, they dropped him in Pueblo, Colorado, with not a dollar to his name, no driver's license, no nothing. They made him look like somebody else. And what he had to do in 90 days was he had to create $1 million business. And at the end of, and he did it. And this show is going to be all about this on January 6th. And we're going to figure out how he did it, which is incredible to me. And Eric said to him, could you do that with network marketing? And he said, are you kidding me? You're going to give me the company. The company's going to do the operations, the shipping, the payroll, the everything that you guys do. And all I have to do is build a network. Oh, piece of cake. And they put a whole different perspective on what we do, because compared to what he did, it does look very doable. What we have our hands on here. So,
I couldn't agree more. And I'll tell you another thing. I mean, I've taught entrepreneurial strategy and been a guest speaker in all sorts of settings across the country. I've worked with some of the top entrepreneurs in the last 50 years of this country. A billionaire who had the largest ever venture capital merger, I partnered with him for 5 years, and he has no children, and all of his wealth is being dedicated to entrepreneurism. And as I go out and see the incredible odds against entrepreneurs starting something from scratch, who don't have infrastructure to support them, who don't have immediate duplication processes, teams, calls to plug into like this, a whole energy network that they can tap into that can vitalize them, then we sometimes miss that point that you are truly entering into a space of advantage. I mean, my dad used to talk to me about sustainable competitive advantage all the time. And he said, until you can point at something that is sustainable, that is competitive, and is truly advantaged, then the strategy is flawed. I don't think there's anything you could look for in America or in the world right now that is more advantaged with a greater ability to be sustained competitively than what we have. And we've proven that. We've proven that for 10 straight years of year-over-year growth. I will say this too, and this is somewhat defensive on my part, because over the years, people have come to me and said, look how fast this company is growing. Many of those companies are gone. I have no interest in a flash in the pan. I have no interest in lightning in a bottle. I have no interest in that. I want to build a legacy opportunity every year where it gets stronger and stronger and the foundation gets stronger and stronger. Now, guess what you should want to build? The same thing. And are we building with and on top of each other's legacy approach? We are. We're partners in this. You're not a sole proprietor, and we need to do our job to support you, and you need to do your job to grow and build your teams. And we need to get better as an organization, just as you guys do. But if we can stay humble about it, which I try to be, and say, of course, And I always tell people, use the ethos as a mirror, not a sword. Don't turn it into a tool that you use to fight with others and tell them what they're terrible at. Use the ethos to look at you, right? To look at yourself and say, what can I do to improve? But I'm telling you, I know what's out there in the marketplace. And frankly, I've had reason and opportunity to speak to executives from other companies who wish they could have our ethos, who wish they could be standing on the ground we're standing on. And I like where we are. We've grown every year since we started. We continue to be here, and we're not perfect. Cindy, you know that. Bo, you know that. And I apologize for what we've not been perfect on. But guys, we're here, and we're committed to you, and we're committed to this. This is sustainable competitive advantage, and that's strategy. So
I think that's hey, Tyler, I think that's a big thing. I mean, with what Cindy and you just spoke about, the significance of being able to plug into tens of millions of dollars worth of infrastructure that we didn't pay for, and all that being in place, and couple that with everything as far as ticking every box with, as you said, the ethos, the breakthrough and everything. But you being a teacher, a trainer, a mentor to us. And the thing that I love about you, I mean, without being biased, I could say you're the best speaker on the planet. When you're talking to people, actually, not when you're talking to people, you actually talk for people. You're actually talking, not talking to them, you're talking for them. Your sincerity when having that conversation, not just with an individual, but to the masses, and you being on this call, and the same thing, you're here for us, and you're always here for us. And I just want to say, you're such an incredible example in how much we appreciate everything that you've done and everything that you're doing.
It's funny, Danny, I'm flattered and humbled that you say that. Every word that just came out of your mouth, I could say back to all of you on the screen and everyone on this call. Let's be clear. There is no ASEA without you. None. There's no employee that gets paid. There's no product that gets manufactured or shipped or anything. This is not really, I'm amazed at the industry, how they over promote founders and senior leaders of these companies to the point where they begin to inhale themselves, in my opinion. And I just think the industry, it's about the people. And I marvel. Chuck and I finished a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I texted him in the evening. I could pull up the text, and I just said, this is the most humbling thing in the world to me. Because we had gone through 4 straight days of departmental business plan presentations for 2021, from our IT department to our ops department to our customer service and associate support department to logistics to every part of the business. And we were so humbled at the earnestness and the willingness of these employees to commit and give their best to this. There is no ASEA, Danny, without you. There's no ASEA without every name on this call. And there's no ASEA without 260 employees that are giving themselves to this company. Me being the least of it. And that is the truth. I love to speak. I love to speak from my heart and hope to inspire with sincerity because I mean it. But if you hung out with me for a month, you'd find out I'm a pretty boring dude. ASEA is exciting because of all of you. And so I appreciate you saying that, but I almost have to mirror that back at you guys and say, what company would we have if it wasn't for the inspiring leadership? I mean, I can get emotional thinking about what Cindy and Bo have been through and what they've laid on the altar of this company. It makes me very emotional. I was there when Bo decided to leave his professional career. I watched it happen from a stage, and that's very, very humbling for me. And I feel a great weight on my shoulders to make sure that we're keeping our side of the bargain, that we're doing our part to help all of you succeed. So Danny, I'm flattered you'd say that, but I must say that there is no company without all of you. There's absolutely no company.
Tyler, if I could jump in really quickly, I'd really like to add to what Danny said. And I mean, I think that each of us needs to understand that every single day, we get to make the choice of who we fight the battle with. There are battles everywhere, around every corner, in every company. None are better. The grass isn't greener. The grass is greenest where you water it. And the bottom line is we get to choose who we fight the battle with. And 10 years ago plus, when Cindy and I came on board before the launch of this company, we looked each other when we came in and met you and Vertus, and we just said, holy crap. What do we have a hold of here? And every single day, every single year, You guys have proven to us your executive team's humility, your humility, the humility of the support staff, how much they give us. Your team is such a testament to you as the upper echelon of the company and this company in general. So thank you.
Wow, that means a lot, guys. I'm humbled tonight. Thanks a lot for that. Thank you for that. I hope, I believe that if we are constructive and not destructive, I think if we build each other, and you're certainly building me, and I hope to build you, I hope we can do that for one another on teams and see the great strengths that individuals have. Kind of a personal story tonight. One of my sons came into my office here in between calls and has just been working his guts out on some things at school and some extracurricular activities, but not maybe reaching the level he'd like to get to. And I could just feel the weight on him. And I took some time just to build him. I took some time just to say, do you know what I see? I see remarkable effort. I see remarkable commitment, extraordinary gifts and talents that are emerging and developing. And of course, he's 15, he's young. But raising a family in some ways is no different than building a team. You're working together and people don't know what they're capable of. I've said it before. What is it about a fifth grade math teacher that tells you you're not good at math, or a dad or a mom that in their weakness, not out of malice, but in their weakness may not have acknowledged or recognized some great effort you put forth as a child, or a good friend or someone you cared immensely about that took a shot at you in a weak moment. And pretty soon, this whole circle, this beautiful circle, starts to take a dent and starts to get hit, and it starts to take different shape and form. And what happens is we surrender ourselves a little bit. We start to just go, you know what? I don't want to take the risk. I want to cover my ribs, and I'm going to start to accept less when more is possible. I'm going to trade the maybe for the sure thing and settle into something that maybe doesn't really match my full vision for myself. And the reason I think it's so important that we create a safe environment for people to shoot and miss, and to try again, is because if you can create that environment where people can come in and try and not succeed, but still feel supported, there's something way bigger happening than volume. It's not just volume. You're expanding human beings. You're building out a sense of soul and who they are and what they can be. And it will find expression in their relationships. It will find expression in if they have a full-time job in another setting. And the breathing of life into people and the sense of an awakening. I shared at convention a few years back that I reached out to my third grade teacher, Bo, Mrs. Jane Knapp, and I was talking about inflection points. And I was talking about this third grade teacher. My mom would drop me off a touch early to school, and she would sit and visit with me just for 10 minutes before school, but she was very constructive. She would say something I did well in class, or she would acknowledge something. And that was an inflection point. I started to see myself the way she saw me. And what was interesting is before I spoke at that convention, I had to find her. I had to let her know. And I didn't know if she was alive. I didn't know where she was. I called the principal at the school. They were all nervous, like, who are you? Why are you asking about our employees? And I just said, I just want to say thanks to my third grade teacher. And you know what happened is somebody that was hearing the principal speak to me, an assistant, heard me talking and said, oh, I know who he's talking about. And that woman sent me an email 2 days later, had hunted down Jane Knapp, who had since retired in Florida. Now, get this. I call Jane Knapp. This is now, I'm probably at the time 47. So this is 40 years after she was my teacher. And I find her. She answers the phone and I say, is this Mrs. Knapp? And she had long since been remarried. And so the fact that I used her name from a different era was the only reason she didn't hang up on me thinking I was a marketer. And she said, and I said, Mrs. Knapp, please don't hang up. I'm one of your students. Do you know what she said to me? She taught for 32 years and she'd never had a student call her and thank her for what she did. And I sent her 24. I sent the biggest bouquet of roses I've ever sent to another woman, and it wasn't my wife. And I sent it to Mrs. Knapp in Florida. before I spoke at our convention in Florida, because I wanted her to know that that one voice in my life had kept me whole. And I carried her compliments. I carried her acknowledgments. I carried all of that shaping she was shaping. And I filled in that shape she created of what I could be. We have to do that for each other. We have to find the names of the people and know them by name, by talent, by spirit. And then we have to reformat the hard drive in their hearts and minds about themselves. I'm not on trial. ASEA is not on trial. Our technology is one of the greatest things that's happened to humanity in the last 10 years. But you know what's the missing number in the combination lock? It's the people. And if we can tap into them, not to leverage them, not to manipulate them, not to reach some incentive that we want to reach, but to realize that every one of them are a third grade kid sitting with a teacher, needing someone to see them the way they've stopped believing or seeing themselves. And when we do that, we awaken a sense of potential and fearlessness in them, and faith takes over for fear. And if we can just do that for each other, I believe that 2021 will be amazing, to the degree that we make the success and the lifting of other people, our all-consuming occupation, will reach heights we never imagined. But if all we're doing is tracking numbers, who cares?
Yeah.
I don't get excited about that. And Cindy, I need to say one other thing. In March of last year, we launched a hiring freeze. We didn't know what was going to happen. Nobody knew. We're in total lockdown, but we looked at each other and said, we have one goal. No employee of this company will lose their job because of COVID. So we took every non-human expense we could find, and we cut and we cut and we cut, still trying to keep the business moving forward. But we said, if we can do anything we can do, and every employee at ASEA kept their job last year. Every employee at ASEA had a merit increase, which is basically an increase for cost of living. And every ASEA employee received a bonus before Christmas to help their families. I wish you guys could read the emails that we got, and they come because of you. So we made our all-consuming occupation the wellness and welfare of our employees, and you make the all-consuming occupation the wellness and welfare of your teams. And if we do that, it's like a force field around ASEA. It's impervious. We become absolutely powerful because our concerns are about each other. And I just want you guys to know that it doesn't happen without you. It doesn't happen without you. And the awakening that has to occur in all of us is our potential. Now, could this be done at some other place? You bet it can. Come on, let's be real. Can it be done at an Eric Worre event where you're having an experience? You bet it can, but it should happen here. We ought to be pros at helping other people reformat the hard drive and completely control, alt, delete all the garbage in their hearts and minds about what they're not or what they can't. And let's go. Let's lift each other. And 2021 will be amazing if we do that.
Yeah, we've got people stepping up to the plate all over the place, doing things that's going to potentially put them in embarrassing situations, but they're knowing that they're growing as a person. And so we've given them the freedom to screw up. There is no such thing as perfect. Just do your best. It's all you have. And you're going to be able to reach people that other people can't reach because you've got a certain personality that can reach that kind of person. So it's exciting to see what people are doing. And I mean, so many people are out of their comfort zones, just going for it with, like deers in headlights, just, doing their best. Like, here I go. It's great. It's really great. Tyler, we've had some questions in the chat about what app do you use to get yourself organized?
This is just a drawing app. I mean, this is just something, I just start sketching and I start writing and then I start drawing circles and stuff. And before you know it, I've got a full page without any real estate left. Please don't think this is some app about goal setting. This is me. Okay. I'll honestly go a few days and something will pop into my mind that needs attention this year. I'll flip open the app and I'll sketch it in there. And over time, it just kind of builds out in this Frankenstein, but it's clearly thought out and well-intentioned stuff. Now, I got to be prompt. They're not all green on here. There were some air balls last year, There were some things I didn't get to, but I certainly spend a lot of time thinking about these are, and I will tell you that, whether it's The Secret, whether it's any number of things, if this kind of mental, spiritual creation of a future is very powerful. I've found goals I've written down in books that I had even forgotten about. You hear the set it and forget it thing. I had even written some down that I'd forgotten about that I reached. There's something powerful about taking the time to write them down. So no, I would tell you there's no app. I literally use a sketch app. Nice thing about the sketch app is I can duplicate the page and keep building on it. So I've got like 50 that start from the top left corner and they start growing out. And it's almost like grass growing. As I swipe to the left, it just keeps filling the page. And then I get to the end of it and say, this is what I'm going to do this year. And again, I don't want to act like it's some special program. It's not. It's just me writing it down.
Well, we're excited to partner with you, Tyler, with you and your whole team. Everybody's been so supportive, and I think everybody works very well together. We're clear about what our job is, and you guys are clear what your jobs are, and we wouldn't be here without you, and you wouldn't be here without us. So it's a great collaborative effort, and it's a passionate one at that.
I will tell you guys this, you're too kind, Cindy. Maybe you're being kind. We're not as good as we should be, and we've set some goals to improve. Very serious objectives to improve the associate experience, and we're working on stuff. And I know at times, I think we're a little slow. We should be faster. I think people tell us that a lot. We've got things we have to work on as a company, and I want to pledge my commitment to doing that. The feedback we hear is both, we love your hearts, we love who you are as people, but you could go a little faster, you could get a little better. And so we're hearing that too. And I don't want you to think for a minute we're resting on any laurel. We're genuinely trying to improve and know we need to. So please hope you sense that and know that we mean that. It may be a little bit slower than most, but we're working on it.
Tyler, there's a lot of people that have been let down by other companies. I love the fact of how solid we are, the foundation that you've built, how you've been strategic, and you've done this sustainably over the years. You talk about these days that you won't be successful until you see the success in others. I always say I'm not going to leave anybody behind. I mean, I can comfortably walk away from this and retire, but I've got new people coming in every single day, which I have to ensure their success. So it's never going to end. You talk about a generational company. Can you just touch on that strength and that foundation?
I'm fascinated with the concept of legacy. It's interesting. People talk a lot about leaving a legacy. I think you need to be living a legacy. Leaving a legacy almost acts like you've left the room and you left something behind. The industry is notorious for In-N-Out burgers, for these stories that kind of come in and they grow really high and then they're out. And there are a lot of people in this industry in the field that look for that, right? Because they know it's a swell that they can drop in on and ride a wave. I'm not terribly excited about that. I have a lot of respect, regardless of their weaknesses, for these legacy companies, names that you would know that have been around 20 and 30 and 40 years. I get excited to think what we could do in 20, 30 years from now. I'm 50 years old and I'm not going anywhere. Again, the humility being that I hope I'm not going anywhere, but if I'm here and Chuck's my age and Jerem, for Pete's sake, is a good, yeah, that's right. I've got to see you. Jerem's a lot younger than Chuck and I, I mean, we have a vision for what this can and should be. And I think if all of us realize that this isn't Virtus leaving a legacy, I mean, this isn't my dad's legacy. This is your legacy, Danny. This is a legacy that Cindy and Bo are leaving, and so many are living and leaving. So living the legacy means what you just said, that you have this sense of awareness that there's a stewardship to other people, and that doesn't end somewhere. There's no finish line on that. And so I get really excited about where we can take this in the future. And I really don't think we are, you got to remember, Chuck and I came from a 170-year-old company and a 107-year-old company. So we look at this as a company in its infancy. Maybe network marketing is dog years, maybe 10 years is 70 years. I don't know, but I don't think so. I think this has to grow and be here in 30 and 40 and 50 years. If you can see that future and you're just starting today, and you can surrender all of your doubt and suspend all of the voices that might otherwise tell you what this can or cannot be, and lean into it, and just consistently lean into it, what it can be, you'll be part of building something that will bless your family for years and, yes, decades to come. And I'm not afraid to say that. Now, if it didn't, I would feel like a failure, because I have no interest in getting excited about what we've done. I don't want to sit around saying we did it, we left a legacy. No, we haven't. We got work to do. There's people that are looking for hope, looking for answers. 70% of Americans had a significant financial setback in 2020. What does that tell you? It means that 7 out of 10 people you walk by anywhere you are trying to figure out, how am I going to make this rent payment? How am I going to help my kids? And with all due respect, it's not going to be a stimulus check for $600. It's not going to solve the problem. And Dad said it years ago, we are the answer to the woes of the future. That is, see as the answer. And if we will create our own future, we'll solve our challenges. And so, Danny, I think the point from me is, what is success? How do you define success? Do you box it up into a few years and a net worth that is enough? Or do you say, no, this is bigger than us, and it needs to be healthy and strong, and it will only succeed if after Chuck, after me, after Jerem and others, it continues and gets better and stronger. And we're excited to build it on that premise.
Well, we should wrap it up. Tyler, we've had you, I know you've been on calls all day long, and I know you got the In Touch call again tomorrow night. So, you know, you got all kinds of wheels turning in your head and visions that you're giving to all of us. We really, really appreciate you taking some time. Hopefully you're going to be able to go and have dinner with your family or something like that if you haven't
I
had
snuck a dinner in right before. I'm embarrassed to admit it. I've got my dinner sitting right here. So
okay, good.
I had a quick dinner in between calls. Thank you, though.
Good. Well, thank you so much. And we're really, really excited about what the year has in store. There's things that are in place right now where people's eyes are sparkling, their hearts are pounding, and they're ready to go. So
awesome.
We've got that eruptive feeling just like you do. And I think it really is going to be an incredible year.
Well, thank you to all of you. Thanks for letting me join you tonight. And let's all do our part this year. Make the success of someone else your all-consuming occupation this year, and you will find joy and peace and happiness, and you will reach your objectives. When others become our occupation, we win.
That's right.
Let's do that.
That's right. Well, Happy New Year, Tyler. Thanks so much. And good night, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.
See ya.
Appreciate it, brother.